Hello and welcome to the British Rental Kart Championship. I'm Phil Stanley, BRKC race director and owner of the host circuit Formula Fast. I'm here to explain a few important safety points and rules you'll need to know about for this year's event. Please do listen carefully, as you'll need to be fluent with these rules before the week of BRKC. All information will be linked in the description. I'd also like to give you some personal advice from this point, and that is to do your homework. Seasoned competitors will be only too happy to tell you how they threw away their chance at podium position by not being aware of the rules. From failing to make the minimum weight, arriving too late to race, or pitting a lap early, we've seen it all. So please boost your chances of reaching the podium by thoroughly reading the BRKC regulations on the website, as well as paying close attention to this briefing. So moving straight to the lights. We have traffic lights positioned all over the circuit and they apply to the whole circuit at the same time. Green lights or no lights mean the track is clear for you to race at your normal speed. Yellows mean walking speed, no overtaking. There may be an obstruction or a marshal on the track, so please exercise caution. Red lights mean a race stoppage. Stop safely but immediately wherever you are on the circuit. The circuit may be blocked or we may be responding to an injury or a mechanical failure. In any case, stay in your car, watch the lights and be prepared for racing to resume immediately. The lights are also linked to your karts, so when they change to yellows or red, you may also feel your car automatically slow down. Your power will resume when the yellow or red is cleared, and if you feel your car suddenly lose power, please be sure to check the lights first. Under yellow lights, your kart losing power is a little bit like the virtual safety car in Formula 1, except in this case you won't have the option of going any faster, as the system is remotely applied from race control. This is the fairest way to ensure minimal advantage can be gained from any driver under the yellow flags. Yellows may also be displayed after your one lap qualifying, for the rolling start and after the checkered flag. Flags will be mainly shown from race control, although other marshal posts may also be used. It's your responsibility to look out for these flags. The blue flag or blue light will be used in practice and qualifying if a faster driver is behind you, or in a race because you are about to be lapped. In both cases, you'll be shown the blue if race control think the person behind you is within striking distance within a lap. If you're shown the blue flag, you must let that driver pass within a lap. You'll want to let the correct number of drivers pass, so keep checking the trackside scoreboards or your dashboard for your race position if available. A black and white diagonal flag is a driver warning. This may be for severe or persistent contact, poor driving, or breaching another rule in a serious way. It is only one step away from the black flag, so you need to improve your driving immediately. If you are shown the black flag, this is a driver penalty. Go to the pits and complete a full, valid pit stop before returning to the track. A red flag with a black chevron is a bad pass flag. We'll give this to you if we think a position has been gained unfairly. It's an instruction to let the driver back past, which avoids you receiving a black flag and keeps the race flowing. You'll need to let that driver pass within one lap and before taking any pit stops, or we will show you the black flag, which unfortunately means a compulsory pit stop. Please bear in mind that if we need to analyse an incident in more detail, we may not be able to show you the bad pass flag immediately. If you're in any doubt about the move you just made, be sporting and give the place back. As you'll hopefully already know, karting is a non-contact sport, so we don't expect to see bumping on the circuit. When overtaking, we generally expect the overtaking driver to have at least half of their car alongside the driver in front before the corner's usual turning in point. However, as in all forms of motorsport, this is subjective, so expect any particularly robust or contentious moves to be analysed in detail by the race director. Driving a defensive line is allowed, for example moving offline to defend and then back online before the corner. However, excessive weaving is not. If you're overtaken, you should concede place and avoid holding on at all costs. It's also not acceptable to squeeze another driver into the barriers after a successful overtake. If for any reason you get stuck on the circuit, don't get out of the kart or try and push yourself away from the barriers with your hands and feet. Sit tight, keep your hands in the air and feet off the pedals. A member of staff will be there as quickly as possible to get you back on track. Formula Fast have a fleet of Sodi GT5 200cc petrol karts. These karts have fully adjustable seats and pedals and have a ballast box in the sideboard for adding weight. The seat adjustments are easy, but you'll need to be gentle with the handle. Turn it left to loosen and right to tighten. If you over loosen or over tighten the seat, unfortunately, the entire kart will need to be pulled out of the line and dismantled for fixing. To prevent this, only loosen the seat enough to move it. You only need to nip up the seat to tighten it again. If in doubt, ask a member of the team to do this for you. Formula Fast are renowned for kart quality and go above and beyond to ensure a level playing field. We test our fleet thoroughly for hours at a time before and during BRKC to a target parity of 0.2 seconds from the fastest kart to the slowest kart. The biggest variable from kart to kart will be you, the driver. Other variables like track, tyre and air temperature, humidity and the amount of fuel left in your kart also have a big part to play. This being said, karts, like any other machine, are capable of failing and fluctuating in performance, especially under the harsh conditions of a non-stop race weekend. The rules are in place to ensure fairness under most scenarios. So, onto the format of the event itself. BRKC has an easy to follow format starting from the official Friday practice and moving through the heats, semi-finals and last of all the grand final. You must ensure you arrive at the venue for each session at least 30 minutes in advance. BRKC runs a tight schedule, and if we can run ahead of time, we will. So you'll always need to keep an eye on the upcoming session timings. It's your responsibility to be present in the pit lane at least 10 minutes before the session starts, so you can weigh in, draw your kart and complete any other steps before driving. We do not wait for late drivers, so please do be here on time. Starting with practice, Formula Fast offer unofficial practice sessions on Wednesday and Thursday on the week of BRKC. These are exclusively open to BRKC drivers, but Formula Fast membership is required. Circuit weights will be available for this practice. You can book these sessions online and there is no limit to how many sessions you can book. Friday is official BRKC practice day. The format is identical to unofficial practice, but with weights and a pit stop system available all day. You can book additional sessions on Friday. I strongly recommend booking your chosen time well in advance, as slots typically fill up very quickly. On Saturday and Sunday, it's time for the real thing. BRKC consists of 4 rounds with 10 heats per round. You'll be taking part in 1 heat per round, with the top 30 point scorers at the end of the heats going through to the semi-finals on Sunday. Rounds 2 and 3 take place on an alternate circuit layout, which won't be revealed until the day itself. The 3 semi-finals are identical to the heats, and are just another opportunity for drivers to score points towards a place in the final. At the end of the semi-finals, the points are totted up, and the top 10 drivers progress through to the grand final. This time it's a 30-minute race to the checker flag with 2 pit stops, and the overall winner of the grand final will be crowned this year's champion. There's a useful video summary of the event format which is also linked in the description. Before you race, you'll draw a kart at random from a bag in the pit lane. As much as possible, drivers will use a new kart in each heat until only previously selected karts remain. Drivers can optionally change their karts before or after qualifying, but not both. Drivers who change their kart before qualifying can take part in the session, but they will be driving a cold kart from the spare row. Drivers who change karts after the qualifying will start at the back of the grid, again in a cold kart from the spares row. Mechanical failures will result in a session stoppage if serious, for example, a detached wheel or an engine seizure. If a driver is forced to change karts, the new kart will be driven by circuit staff beforehand, if feasible, to bring the tyres up to temperature. The driver will then be permitted to rejoin the track in the position they were in before the stoppage. Drivers can also swap a kart for non-serious mechanical problems at their discretion by returning to the pit lane during a session and drawing a new kart. This will count as a pit stop. However, the driver will rejoin the session as is, and they won't be able to resume their previous race position. The final decision on kart changes, adjustments or driver positioning is at the race director's full discretion. Before each and every race, there is a Superpole Qualifying shootout that determines the starting order for the race itself. You'll be sent out to the pit lane in intervals for your warm-up lap. This leads immediately onto your flying lap, which begins as you cross over the start-finish line for the 2nd time. Your flying lap will end as you cross over the start-finish line for the 3rd time and pass the checkered flag. It's very important that you allow yourself enough space to complete your lap without interfering with the driver ahead or behind you. Drivers who are found to be impeding others, unnecessarily overtaking or holding back may be penalised. After the checkered flag, you should reduce your speed back to walking pace, and it's then down to you to reorder yourself into the correct position, which will be displayed on the scoreboards around the circuit. Look for the number of the kart ahead of you, and then position yourself behind them. All karts will then be stopped in single file and in starting order at the end of the straight, ready for the race start. Once we're ready for racing to begin, a marshal will signal for drivers to start rolling and the yellow light will display. The start of your race will be a single file rolling start. The person at the front of this line will control the speed under yellow light conditions. As you approach the start line, the lights will turn green and you can then start driving at full speed. However, you cannot start racing or overtaking until you've crossed the start line. Race starts must be clean and at a reasonable pace. Untidy starts will be false started, in which case the lights will continue to remain yellow and the track staff will signal drivers to go around. You may see the false start flag show, which is a green flag with a yellow chevron. In case of a false start, stay in your original starting order and continue slowly round to the end of the straight where another start will be attempted. The clock will start on the first start attempt, regardless of whether or not it is a false start. Unsportsmanlike behaviour like brake checking the driver behind you risks being penalised, so do keep your focus on a clean start. During the heats and semi-finals, you're required to complete one valid pit stop. The pit lane will open for pit stops after the first lap of the race. This means you can't pit on lap 1. It will close roughly 2 minutes before the end of the race and will show a pit closing board to all drivers at that time. If you haven't pitted by the time you've been shown the pit closing board, you must complete your pit stop on that lap. If you fail to complete a valid pit stop by the end of the race, unfortunately, you will receive points for last place. To make your stop, you'll need to enter the pit lane between these lines in full control of your kart, raising your hand as you enter the pits to signal to the other drivers that you're coming in. A pit stop consists of stopping at 2 controlled gates before returning to the track. BRKC uses a custom-designed F-Laps laser-activated pit stop system. As you approach the first gate, you'll see a line marked on the floor showing the location of the F-Lap sensor beam. When the line is reached and the beam broken, the traffic lights will turn red. You have to remain within that beam until the light turns green after a short interval. You can then proceed to the next gate to complete that procedure again. Now, if you leave a gate too early, the traffic lights will show a yellow light. That indicates an invalid stop. In this case, you can continue. However, you'll need to return to the pits again later in that race to make a valid stop. Each yellow light means an extra pit stop required. So unfortunately, if you fail on both gates, you'll need to return to the pit lane 2 more times to complete your valid stop. You don't have to fully stop your kart at each gate. You're allowed to keep the kart moving at a slow pace so as to keep the beam broken and keep the red light on. However, this does run the risk of overshooting and allowing the beam to reconnect before the allotted interval has passed. Once you've completed both gates, head to the pit exit, look left, and then filter safely onto the track once you've reached the end of the marked lane. There is no speed limit in the pit lane as the gates are there to control your speed. At the end of the race, the checker flag will be shown to the leading driver. After you pass the checker flag, reduce your speed back to walking pace and continue around the circuit towards the pit lane in single file. Watch out for any track staff that may be guiding you towards the pit lane. If you're lucky enough to have finished in the top 3 of a BRKC race, you'll be weighed in on the scales afterwards. We may also perform random spot checks on other drivers. The minimum weight in BRKC is 90 kilograms. Your weight can be supplemented by kart ballast, personal weights, or a weighted seat. Formula Fast can provide up to 20 kilograms of weight per driver in the form of kart ballast. If you need more weight than the amount provided by us, you'll need to arrange this for yourself before the event. Most drivers opt to use a weighted seat insert, and information for building these is again contained in the description. Please ensure these have suitable padding to avoid scratching the kart seats. Although circuit staff will assist in adding ballast to your car, it is your sole responsibility to check you have the correct ballast secured before racing. After racing, please return your ballast to the front of the pit lane. Unfortunately, drivers who are underweight at the end of the race will be given points for last place. When you finish weighing in, also keep an eye out for the pit lane commentator, as you may be called for a live post-race interview. You can bring and use your own racewear. However, Formula Fast do provide everything you'll need to race with if you need to borrow gear. Make sure at all times your race suit is done up, your sleeves are down and your belt secured. Gloves must be worn which cover your fingers and your hand completely. Your helmet should be full face and of a suitable standard for karting. Tinted visors are allowed, but you need to be able to see the flags and lights clearly. Visors must be closed, but you can leave a small gap at the bottom when driving for air circulation. And you must ensure your helmet strap is fastened before driving. If we do spot a driver that hasn't done their helmet up during the race, unfortunately we have no choice but to red light the entire session. From Friday onwards, you'll also be on camera, so you'll need to have a BRKC visor strip or a BRKC sticker displayed somewhere on your person from this point onwards. BRKC is a fantastic event that allows drivers of all levels of experience to race for amazing prizes on a level playing field. It's one of the only events in motorsport where enthusiasts can race against world champions, many of whom still race in world motorsport all the way up to Formula 1. It's an unbiased, competitive, but above all, friendly competition, and its success is down to the welcome atmosphere and the respect that drivers have for each other. Remember to conduct yourself professionally at all times, in a polite and respectful way, even if a decision goes against you. Disagreements and penalties are inevitable in close competition, but you should always remember that decisions are made in good faith based on the information we have available. Antisocial or aggressive behaviour towards drivers or staff has no place in BRKC. All penalties are applied at the sole discretion of the race director. There are no appeals and decisions are final. However, we'll always explain the reasoning behind decisions if at all possible. As always, please remember that motorsport can be dangerous, and despite the organisers taking all reasonable precautions, you are racing at your own risk. Please drive sensibly. If you have any medical conditions that might prevent you from driving safely on the road, such as epilepsy, heart problems, back problems, or asthma, please speak to a member of staff before driving. The list isn't exhaustive, so if you have concerns about your ability to drive safely, it's always best to let us know just in case. You will not be allowed to drive if you are pregnant. This briefing just touches on the basic rules. Please ensure you've downloaded and absorbed the full rules at brkc.co.uk/rules. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you on the track.